Hi.
Hi, Kevin.
This is what I look like with glasses and without glasses.
You know what? I have to admit, Kevin, now that I see you in person for the first time ever, your voice doesn't match your look. I kind of expected. Well, actually, I don't know what I expected.
What do you kind of expect a radio voice like this? This is Kevin Penkava, radio announcer for WKZT. Whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Of course not. I've aged. It's been, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Well, I got water right now, so.
Yeah.
I was going to use, since we're recording and it's going to be edited, I was going to use my Doctor Who cup.
Oh.
You pour in a hot liquid, and then you see the TARDIS come out,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it disappears to the back of the cup.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah.
I would do that in my class, and the students would go,
Yeah.
I just said, it's made in China. What do you know about this? Don't you know about this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm sorry my voice doesn't match my look, but you still look like Tim Allen. But
Yeah. Well,
it's,
it happens to the best of us, right?
I don't know what Mike was expecting. I mean,
I was expecting this big giant hero and
6.5 feet tall, 300 pounds.
well, I'm almost 6 feet. I'm 6 feet, 5'11" and a half, 6 feet. Yeah, but I'm more of a hero sandwich than anything else.
Yeah. Well, see, this is why I enjoy talking with you so much because,
That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you guys are under a lot of stress. There's a lot of stuff coming at you, and if I could add some humor, if you want to call it that, or just whatever, moments of craziness.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of give the community, we know that Joel interviewed you last night, and our audience may not see that video first. They may see this one first. So maybe what we'll do is just kind of give a general overview of a few things. That we've known each other for 8-9 years now.
It's been a while. Yeah, sure.
Almost since the beginning of our YouTube channel.
Uh-huh.
We talk a lot.
Yeah, we've had multiple conversations about subliminal images,
Everything.
everything.
Oh yeah, those are. Yeah, it's honing our observational skills. And you sent a really old. I remember one of the first times it was from an old book. It was from 1936, and you were trying to decipher what that photo meant in relation to some angelic creatures or whatever. And I said, well, what about this? What about that? What about that?
Yeah.
So I think that's what I remember.
Yeah. So over the years, we've actually had we've actually grown together. Actually, even though we've never seen face to face, but our telephone conversations, in my opinion, were just spectacular because we were learning from each other. Because I know that you've got a long history with the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I also know that you have some family members that were Freemasons. So there's a connection there that we had a lot of conversations about.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to dispel a few things with some of our viewers, I know today's day and age, when you mention somebody's a Freemason, some people kind of get overly excited, perhaps. I'm going to kind of maybe dispel something a little bit if you'll allow me, Kevin. Okay?
Sure.
For our viewing friends, I have a lot of Freemason information. Okay? I've got that DVD set.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I've also got the new encyclopedia of Freemasonry. I've also got this little brochure about the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Secret Teachings, the Lodge of Freemasonry. I've also got 2 books written by Manly P. Hall about Freemasonry. And I also have Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma.
I think what he's trying to say is there's no secrets left.
That's the whole point. In this day and age, the secrets are out. So when you see somebody do this with the all-seeing eye, or they stick their hand in here, or they give that little secret thumb handshake, or they're wearing the ring, the secret is out. But here's the thing. This is what I want everybody to stop and think about for just a moment. We come from an organization that was not a secret organization, but it was an organization with secrets. And like the Freemasons today, the internet, and because of ex-members, we've exposed all of Watchtower's secrets. Even the biggest secret of all, CSA. And this is what's drawn us together in this mutual battle to expose this horrific, horrific thing within inside of Watchtower, but it also bleeds into our everyday society.
Yeah, that probably brings us to our discussion that we wanted to talk about.
Yes.
Gee, what will we talk about, Kevin?
I don't know. What is the topic for conversation?
Yeah.
Well, I guess everybody would want to know that you are actually the brother of Michael Pinkeva, who has his sentencing tomorrow at 1:30.
Yeah, genetically, yes. Yeah, at least from what I've been led to believe by my mother, but that could be up to debate, if we run a DNA test. Yes, I am. I am his, after the younger brother. I'm the youngest of all the Pinkevas, between my cousins and my older sister, and Mike, I'm the youngest, sure.
Mm-hmm. And the best looking, right?
Well, yeah, thank you.
Well,
I've seen pictures of your brother.
Well, and let's just let this get out. I think, like you, he's going to look good in an orange jumpsuit.
Orange jumpsuits. I did kind of work for Harley, so there was some orange involved, but it was orange and black. But
yeah.
It ought to be a very interesting to see what's going to happen. Not so much happen, what's going to occur, and then how my family. See, that's the most important thing is my family has to. It's my cousins, and my sister's got dementia, so it's she's not doing well. But my cousins have, and the grandkids.
Yeah.
That's the repercussion of this. It directly come, when this was all occurring. Now they don't know how to explain it because they never met this guy. They never met Mike. Mm-hmm. Because he never reached out to his cousins when, as a witness anyway. Because again, you're involved in and I'm saying this, you're involved in the cartel. Basically, what this is they're a corporation, a cartel.
Yeah.
They peddle the opium of the mind. And they're a syndicate. That's really what they are, and that's all true. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm. And I know you. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and you've mentioned several times, how this has upset the family and stressed, all of you out, and this is a horrific thing for a family to deal with. And I know that even some who may know in the congregation that turned on the Zoom meeting to see, the JW's meeting, and there's your brother, Michael. I think it was a Watchtower study or something, and it made this so sick to his stomach that he just shut it off. He couldn't even look at him, which means
what they're doing is it's like business as usual.
Yeah.
It's business as usual, and they feel, why would you want human lawyers when you have God?
Yeah.
Right?
Hiding behind, humanity when, if you are innocent, what are you saying? Are you saying you're innocent? You didn't do this? You didn't partake of this? What is the statement that you're giving? And you don't have to say anything. You're just, the lawyer's sitting right next to you. And what is that statement telling everyone? That you're relying on lawyers. Well, when you look at the law, probably get into what the law is, what's involved in that. Your religion got you right here. That's where it got you. we discuss this.
Yeah. And, speaking of our friend in that area up there, she kept asking through this whole thing. And, I totally agree. And, you probably agree too. How do these elders, knowing this, that this poor little girl is being abused, how can they go to the meeting and on the platform and look at this little girl every single meeting and this family and not feel anything or, report this for years? I mean, how do these guys even look in the mirror? I just don't understand that.
They forget what kind of person they are after they leave it. I would have to say still in shock that any human being would actually do this, especially for as long as this was occurring.
Yeah.
And statements that I just recently read, how it's beyond mind-boggling. It's like, where is the moral compass? Where is your located at? Where is your moral compass at with all of this? And where does Jesus fit in with all of this as well? So I cannot understand, especially with my brother being a teacher for as long as he had, and he was nominated as Disney teacher, nominated as a Disney Teacher of the Year, and I believe it was 2000.
Wow.
And on top of that, you were nominated. And this is the year 2000, but who knows what went on before 2006 or when this was happening? We don't know. This has only been, brought to our attention, and they moved on it. I don't know how they can look at each other in the mirror, plus, or look at one another, and whatever, and the congregation, and that little girl.
Yeah.
I can't. It's beyond my moral compass to even comprehend that. It's totally out of my frame of reference that's even possible.
And and that's a very profound statement, because Kim and I, with what we've done in working with you and talking with you over the several years, and others also, we can't grasp the gravity of all of this either. Just how deep this issue with CSA really, really goes, and how these people can actually live with themselves, and or like Kim mentioned, in like our mutual friend is asking, how can they even look at themselves in the mirror and walk away and forget what they've done?
The only thing I can figure is they must be sociopaths.
Well, they have to have some sort of, what draws somebody to a religion like that? Now think about this. Think about the ones that are appointed as elders and that. They come from all walks of life. But then you have one that's maybe, somebody that's an office worker or whatever, and they rise through the ranks of the cartel, and then they have been placed in a position by whatever protocols they've been following to get to that point on the ladder. And so they become part of judicial committee as judge, jury, and executioner. So here's a guy who probably is an office worker, he's mopping floors, or he's just an everyday Joe. He's in a position of that. And you think they're even qualified to even be handling anything like this, or even so? There's a it's still mind-boggling, but we have to understand where these people. It's a position in the congregation. It's a position, but that is I still can't wrap my mind around that, because why don't you do the right thing? Where does the right thing come in when you're listening and doing all this? Where is that? I don't know. Where's that right thing? So
there again, where's that compass? How does this all, if you will, square up?
Well, yeah, it's I don't understand it. I never could. That's why I never really wanted to progress, I guess, into this organization, because I've seen some that doesn't. It's morally, to me, not right. I have to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to base my life on, is that moral compass within Freemasonry. If you take it for what it is, and a moral compass for what it is, and just stay with that, that makes a good man a better man. Well, I want to go from the better man to greatness.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that? Greatness is doing the right thing, being brave.
Being brave, because that's something that we want to talk about
Yeah.
in this situation.
Yeah, I was going to mention, I will, good place to, bring that up. I will put the link down below, but you are actually working with the organization Operation Underground Railroad. And we know of several, even on YouTube, who have mentioned, this fantastic organization. And, I mean, talk about brave. All of you who are associated with this organization that care about children and want to help children and stop all of this horrific nonsense going on.
So you want to give us a little bit more into this, because
something I downloaded from Tim's website. It has to do with one of the things that Operation Underground Railroad does is it paves the way for permanent eradication of child sex trafficking. Eradication.
Yes.
And we do this by coordinated rescue and by recovery planning. So we're actively working with the police with this. I mean, they're the ones who do the investigation, the operations, the enforcement action, but we have to bring awareness.
Yes.
And you bring awareness by being contacted or seeing what's happening in the community with ones that may be suspect of being involved in something like that. So we're trained with that. We have training programs with that. But this is active. I mean, they're setting up booths and going around the city in the areas, and this is and of course at the schools too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever be the colleges, probably. I don't know if they can get into the elementary schools, but but as far as the colleges, they're bringing awareness and then acting upon that. This is an activity that's very real, and this is very real life. And what we want to do is trying to get those to come out and come talk to us, come talk to. If they don't want to go to the police, then come talk to Operation Underground Railroad.
Right.
Contact them. Call Tim's, the associates up. Just call them up. All you got to do is make a phone call.
And that's where the bravery comes in, because you've got to break through that fear and recognize that there are people in places to help these victims.
And as far as I understood from the website, anybody can join, the fight. And, a big part of this is awareness and education. Mm-hmm. And I know we haven't talked too much in our videos, publicly about this.
Right.
But, all of us do a lot of this behind, we're not ones to sit in front of the camera and brag about, all the things, great things we're doing, our accomplishments. Yeah. No, it's more.
No, it's never like that. It's that you're doing the right thing. And you have the capacity to have that compassion to the nth degree to do that. And you give everything that you have into this, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do. And these folks within the Watchtower cartel have to understand that they have the resources, and don't be afraid.
Right.
Don't be afraid.
And you talk about having the resources, putting something together like this obviously isn't free and it isn't cheap. I recently had you view a video from a well-known comedian, J.P. Sears. And he started out with one video wanting to raise, I think it was like $25,000 to go towards this effort. And then he did a second video a little bit later, and they were almost up to $500,000. And he himself donated $10,000 towards this effort to rescue these kids and help in this endeavor to end this cancer. Eradicate it. And when I asked you to watch that, you didn't know specifically who he was, but he was also associated with that same group that, that you're involved with too. So we're talking about fundraising And just this one guy alone was able to do $250,000. That's not chump change.
No, it's not. No, you can't. That's the thing is that I'm available. Contact me. You know, ones that are in the area, just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. I've been an educator. I taught overseas. I've come back. I understand. I've lived on the other side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I lived under a communist regime. I taught in China for a long time, so I understand that. I understand that the kids there understand what they aspire to be, and they do have issues. There's only a certain amount of what I can do for them, but then I can come back here and still work with the kids and finding out the extent of the trafficking. That was something since we met, and then how this is come down to the extent of this.
Yeah.
I think that is again mind-boggling. I guess that's really what it is. I can't put my mind around this. But you do what we can, and you gotta give them the resources. My kids in China, my students didn't have they don't know where to look. They don't know how to use the internet at the time I was teaching them. All they were doing is playing games or doing something, but this is research.
Yeah.
You can look and find this up. They would say, "Can you get QQ on in the United States?" Yeah, it's the internet. You can get at that time, or WeChat. So they don't understand that international network. They have no concept until you show them. That's what Steve Jobs did. Steve Jobs said people don't know what they want you to show it to them.
Yeah.
That includes pointing them to Operation Underground Railroad.
Exactly. And, a lot in this community don't understand this is more than just Watchtower and some of these other religions. This is a systemic problem in society. And, it's great to go after Watchtower and them hiding it and, like this case in Illinois going on with elders, not reporting it when they're mandatory reporters, and I think the whole thing is about, like I mentioned before, education and awareness.
And helping, being willing to help lawyers when you hear of a local case, perhaps.
Sure.
Being willing to help the lawyers comprehend how Watchtower operates with their lawyer system. And to be honest, with the conversations that Kim's had with those lawyers in Illinois and in Wisconsin, they readily see what the mechanism is once you put it in their psyche. They know how to defeat it, but if they don't know that the penis is on the back of the songbook, they're never going to see it. So we have to be willing to help educate these lawyers when they do have JW elders or whomever in their courtroom where Watchtower is sending their lawyers and deflecting, lying, and all this other stuff. So are we willing to do that? Well, I know, Kim and I are, because we've already done it and we've been doing it. We just don't toot our horns about it.
Well, one of the biggest things when I was talking to the prosecuting attorneys there in Crystal Lake in this trial is they wanted to know details of the judicial hearing and that process. And, so we, our paralegal friend and I explained them this whole process. And then when we have like the elders manuals and the elders letters to share with them and say, look at, this is the policy and, they changed it here and that, like the elders manual, Watchtower brought the new one to the trial and it's like, oh, no. We have the one from back in 2006 from that time period when this started. And, just things like that. And I've really enjoyed, being part of this whole trial. And, now we haven't been able to say anything publicly. But now we can thank you and our paralegal friend very much. And all of you who have been working behind the scenes to get this trial to this point.
See, and those that have been following this channel for a while, we've dropped a lot of things that maybe you may not recognize where they were coming from, but Kevin Penkava has actually been the one behind this, such as checking your state laws to see whether it's legal or illegal to help somebody assist in suicide. You want to talk a little bit more about that, Kevin?
With the HLC?
Well, yeah, when this happened again, when you're shunned from the family to the extent where you're not even contacted about this Becky being in a hospital, there's things going on with her, whether it's a terminal illness or it's a potential of her being healed if she accepted a procedure, or even a funeral. Didn't know anything about this stuff. My sister was never contacted. My immediate family was never contacted with this. What kind of people are this? Where's their moral compass with this? What they want to do is punish you and shun you so you can come back, because you would miss the congregation. That's really what, that. You've been around as long as I have with this. That's really the whole idea. Well, you're not doing it because you're not doing the right thing. You're actually, so if you're willing to do that, sure, you can look at that girl in the face and walk away for 13 years or 12 years or whatever that years are, because you're doing that to your own family. So how much easier is it?
Yeah.
So as far as what's Becky, I don't know what exactly happened. That's why I wanted an investigation into everything involved in that, so I would know how this came to be with her illness, with if it was terminal, if it would have been at least using a blood transfusion, whatever they had to do. I don't even know that, so I can't really comment on that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that. That's what I'm doing behind the scenes. That's why for years I talked to you. I can't say anything.
Yeah, I know.
You know that until now. So your viewers are going,
what?
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
But losing Becky, it may have, we don't know, but where's your moral compass with something like this?
Yeah.
Where does that say that in this your Constitution?
Right.
Where does it say this in your
And your human
Guardians
rights.
of Doctrine?
Yeah, and human rights. I mean, all of us have rights
To life.
know, and especially family members. That was so horrible that they wouldn't even let you know what had happened to your niece.
No.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be Becky. Yeah, she'd be the middle daughter, or actually the second daughter. You got the oldest daughter, and then Becky's the middle, and the two sons. Again, you don't have any contact. I haven't talked to him in 6 years, 5 years, whatever. But we're looking at how do you go about pointing something out to possibly prosecute somebody for assisted suicide.
Right.
Okay. So then you're looking into the area of the mindset, the opium the cartel is feeding these ones, and it comes down to you're involved in coercion, intimidation. This is against the law to do this. This is illegal to do this, or influence to the point of bullying.
Bullying.
Yeah. And we've talked before about the hospital liaison committee. They're the thugs that go and enforce this. Coerce the witnesses and coerce the doctors and just go in and try to take over. I've seen and heard about it many times over and over again.
Well, that's what they do when they come, with their unannounced visits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's kind of harassment. Excuse me, I guess that's, involved in the law as well. And how much emotional distress do they cause? Now, if we had a conversation about emotional distress, and you can sue for that in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, and to the degree of that, so you contact a powerful law firm or whatever who would take the case and pursue a class action emotional distress case for the Pinkeva family that's been affected by this. So we'll see what happens with this.
Yeah.
Not so much happens, but now that this trial is over, then let's look at the repercussions. How do we move forward with this? How do we move forward? What do we do as a family? I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this.
Yeah.
It's especially distressing, I guess, is the best thing that I can say. Mm-hmm. And then having to go to the point where it's like one of my teachers passed away, I think in October, and I can't have any contact with that because that was a very important person in both my brothers and our lives at the time growing up. He passed away. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to be asked questions about my brother at the funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now, in that in itself, or doing something where my name is attached to a project, and they'll say, well, are you Michael Pinkeva? Are you related to him? Now I'm going to have to what? Change my name or just use my first name and middle name? So that's what's happening here is I have to deal with this emotional distress. Mm-hmm. There's no amount of money that's going to even compensate for that. Or what, in my viewpoint, especially being involved in the trafficking and the kids, and that service that I'm doing, or just compelled to do that as a teacher, you have to strip this guy of all his assets, whatever it is, and you try to direct that to the victim and all medical issues that would face that girl for the rest of her natural life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what they probably do in other countries. You strip the assets. I mean, when they manufacture a law, basically with what they do, especially with a misdemeanor, don't be misled. A misdemeanor isn't a low-level crime. It sounds like that, but it's not. It's a Class A, evidently, and you're punishable by this, and this. Okay. Well, now whether the judge goes beyond that, I don't know if you can, or add to it in something else by saying, whatever assets or whatever, we don't know. But this has to, this has to take its course with this, and we'll find out soon enough. But the most important thing that we have to come to realize is the ones that are being affected, the abuse victims that are in the congregations.
Yes.
Have to have the resources, and you have to be brave and come forward. I have basically nothing to lose. Come on, please. You want to contact me? Please.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like you said, Mike, many times, right?
Bring it.
Go ahead.
Bring it. Yeah.
Well, I even remember the day you called and how upset you were and said, you're not going to believe this. My brother was just charged with this. And, I could hear, how upset you were in, just the tone of your voice. And you're like, look at what, the family is just beyond,
Yeah, the family is like, they're reacting to this, and they, almost, in this... Yeah, it's upsetting, but I wasn't thinking about myself. I'm thinking about the others. I'm thinking about, the kids. Mm-hmm. They have to live with this. I don't have a whole lot of time left. I don't have anything, to lose at my age. I don't have my future. I'm like, I'm on the other side of midnight.
You and me both.
But what about all the grandkids and stuff? They're gonna get older and be on the internet and type in the name, and this whole court case comes up. It's like, good Lord, it's the kids you feel sorry for.
Yeah, it's. But that's why I have to be a warrior for what I'm doing, because on the other side of the coin, this guy is a criminal, this guy's a convict, he was convicted.
He was convicted.
So that's a convict for something that was, I can't even describe the crime. Actually, a continuous rape of a child, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For years. I don't know the extent of, but I can't even wrap my mind around that. Yeah. But why would somebody who is a teacher, who went, who taught for over 30 years, what would his reaction be if one of his students at school was, they found out? Would they, well, I'm not going to say anything about it, okay? No, you got to go to the principal or the authorities or whatever the protocol is set by the state. Don't tell me, does that actually change once you leave the school? You're a professional teacher, and you're bound by contract and agreement, and probably have a moral compass along with it to do something about it.
Exactly.
But when you get involved with this cartel and what they do, it's all about the position that you want to hold and try to maintain it and not lose face Same thing with Becky. What if Becky would have taken a blood transfusion or whatever medical thing that they didn't want her to take? So we're looking at that.
Yeah.
Where's the moral compass? Well, here it is. You get to keep your job. You don't lose face over this. Because if she would have said, no, I'm going to live.
Right.
Well, what would have been the reaction? Then, again, you got coercion, bullying tactics, et cetera, et cetera. That would, and that's common.
Yeah. And, and just kind of a side note, just so that, the viewers can really comprehend, because of what we've been doing in our relationship with Kevin and everything else, and what we know is really going on behind the scenes, you friends might comprehend a little bit better why somebody like Kim and I are doing what we're doing about some of the issues within this community regarding a certain someone, and emails being leaked and all this other kind of stuff, because we're really a lot closer to this problem and this issue than a lot of people will even, give us credit for.
Well, the thing is they see what's going on in the community, and I've had a couple of CSA survivors contact me and say, oh my God, is this going to prevent a CSA victim from coming forward now because they're afraid of being attacked in this community?
Or bullied in this community.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. Is that right now the laws are very, very clear about, again, coercion, intimidation, and so forth. It's right there. It's right there. They may not understand or comprehend that you're protected. Whistleblowers are protected by corporate intimidation. They can't.
Yep.
They can't do anything. They can't retaliate. Don't be afraid to come forward, because there's laws that protect the whistleblowers. If the whistleblowers didn't come forth, we would be still in the dark about stuff. I don't want to name some things, but there are some things.
Yes.
Awareness, and we could talk about Edward Snowden.
See, yeah, yeah, exactly.
You got to do the right thing, and you bring out awareness, because why? Because you're a patriot.
Yeah.
Because you are that, and that's what you have to be. And that's what the Constitution of the United States is built upon, was the Iroquois Confederacy ideals and principles.
Yes.
Okay, that's why they infused that into the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to stand up for what's right. You back the Constitution, and that's why you swear allegiance to doing what's right. Doing what's right, yeah. That's what you do, and that's really what it really all comes down to. And if you have a conflict once you're in school and you're a teacher, and this is a conflict, it's maintaining your position in a cartel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really, a corporation, which is what they are in the charter.
Well, and I was just going to mention that. I know you and I have had some in-depth conversations regarding Watchtower's charter, and through these conversations, pardon me, and reading the book Hush Money, we were able to recognize more readily that Watchtower is a corporation, it's a business. Their charter very plainly states that they are a business.
Yes, they're a business.
Yeah.
They're the words education and school and teachers and teaching, though that verbiage is in that charter. Right. I don't see the word clergy. I don't see, because there's a certain amount of, language in that charter that indicates they're a school. Right. They're teachers. They may be teaching the Bible, but I could be teaching mathematics. You're still a teacher. I may be teaching MacGyver skills or something. That's and I can say that my corporation, my company, my book, my corporation is a school, and we want to bring men and women together and give them integrity by learning MacGyver skills, whatever. So what you use the Bible? Well, there's a lot of things in the Bible that are, up for debate. Mm-hmm. So you weren't very specific about what you're teaching from the Bible. Yeah, exactly. Your charter. Yeah. But that's how my mind works. I'm looking at, when you look at something, and we talked about this a long time ago, is you got to look at who are they? And that begins with the charter. It begins with what they say they are.
Right.
And now you're saying you're this, and you want protection under the law for what law? You know, what are you being protected for when you already have condoned by not doing anything or reporting abuse?
Right.
And here's just think about this point, Mike. Do we know that this girl's been trafficked? All she has to do is change hands. We don't know.
Right.
Maybe not. But what about these other children? Okay.
Exactly.
That's what we're looking at, is the trafficking of this. How much of this is actually we don't know the extent of it's going on. You know, it's conjecture.
Well, it's very well orchestrated too.
It's there you said, it's very well orchestrated.
Yeah.
And that's what once were involved in the business of what they're doing. You know, is feeding the mind their religion, their opium. So yeah, they are a cartel. That's what they're feeding, dangerous drugs for the mind.
Yeah. See, and quite honestly, you know, even though somebody can have, you know, Albert Pike's books, Morals and Dogma, and open up to the page where it says, well, if you expose the secrets, you know, we're going to kill you. But it's no different than what Watchtower does. If you leave the organization, God's going to kill you. Or when Kim got sick years ago, my own mother said, well, geez, Kim, if you can't go out in service, you know what that means. What? Death. So whether you're in an organization such as the Freemasons under this threat of death for exposing the secrets, well, guess what? Even as a Jehovah's Witness, we're still underneath that threat.
Well, you are, because you have ones that are, they're going to commit suicide.
Yeah.
They get disfellowshipped, or when you do disassociate, which I did, they still say, oh, it's the same thing, disfellowship, because they want to have the advantage. They want to have the advantage, you know. As far as using that term, no, I disassociated because I did the right thing and I exposed the right thing. This is what you have to do. So, and when you expose something, you know how that works. It's just going to, you know, more people know about it, and that's, you know, go ahead.
You know, and there again, going back to what was stated earlier, Watchtower's not a secret organization because they're publicly preaching and this and that, selling Bibles, well, I should say placing Bibles with their little, you know, literature stands and yada, yada, yada. But they are an organization with secrets. And that's what they don't want out. And now they're out. And they're under full steam damage control.
No, they're not going to control any damage. I mean, it's gone beyond. I mean, it's gone beyond that. You're going to have elders stepping down because they're going to be accountable right now.
Right now,
as of that judgment, they better start, you know, thinking about what their future is.
And that's what we've been working for behind the scenes.
Yeah, you know, and talking about these elders, imagine how surprised we all were reading these court documents and hearing from this hearing that, and we've heard it in other court cases, that the elders are clergy and they're entitled to clergy penitent privilege. And they've been trying to play this card. And, you know, you've been in the witnesses long enough to know that we were told our entire lives, we don't have a clergy lady class.
Oh, we don't. I mean, but it's like joining the union. Well, if I have to go and, you know, do a job in the construction business, which I did in the 70s or whatever, I did that. I mean, you got to be union at least a day or two or three. So that's what it is. As long as it suits their purpose, they become it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't become part of that, but how can you? This is the extent that they would go, that they would actually call themselves clergy.
Yeah.
It's you know, after volumes of books about this, and
mind-numbing.
They're hiding behind this clergy. What privilege? The privilege of let me take about 37 steps back.
Yeah.
But you're hiding child abuse, child rape for 12 years.
Yeah.
In this one case.
In this one case, exactly.
In this one, you're hiding this. you're not going to the authorities.
This is not a
What's wrong with your
privilege.
moral compass? What's wrong with your moral compass? Where it's broken, or it never existed, or it changed somewhere along the way because you want to still be maintained your position as an elder in a congregation or whatever, because that's a privilege that you've worked for a long time for, and you don't want to lose it when you become involved with the judicial, which is a star chamber, and it's also illegal.
Yeah.
They can't be doing that. Yeah, because that involves coercion and intimidation and threats, and we know that. So yes, they are a cartel. Mm-hmm. You know, you're interfering with their drug business.
You know, and that changing of that moral compass really comes subtly, because you know you get involved with their Bible study program and they show you a scripture, then you see another scripture, and it's like, wow, this sounds so wonderful. If you want to learn more, come to the meetings, and then you learn how Jehovah hates unrighteousness, how Jehovah's going to wipe out wickedness, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're taking all that in, and you don't recognize how that's influencing you unless you are alert to the fact that you knock on the door. Hi, my name is Mike. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I want to tell you the good. Get the hell off my porch and don't ever come back. And so that you get this mean dialogue thrown at you. And then you go back to the car and say, God, I can't wait for Jehovah to kill him at Armageddon. In fact, I'm going to take his house. That's how subtle that change is. It happens without you even being aware of it.
Yeah, they're aggressive activists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they are.
We've mirrored historical examples of this over the years. You know,
yes.
We went back and forth with this. And
think about Germany.
Yeah. It's, they go, well, you know, they're conspiracy theorists. No, where are we, Mike? Tell me.
Agenda analysts. I want everybody to know that that's where this terminology came from.
This is who we got
Agenda
it from.
analyst, right here, friends. Thank you.
But yeah, you got to look at it. You got to change the terminology because it fits. There's no theory. Theories are, you know, almost a fact. Conspiracy, there is no conspiracy. Everything is what it is.
Yeah.
We analyze agendas. That's what we do.
Analyze agendas. You go beyond the norm.
Yeah.
And even look at a single word and its meaning, and that word will have a different meaning to you because you comprehend that little word now changes the entire meaning.
Exactly. It takes away their thunder.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem with the way people are taught to read today, as opposed to when you and I were taught to read, because we were taught to read to look at the meaning so that you can comprehend everything that's in front of you. And it's sad to say that, you know, JW say that they're the most biblically educated people in the world, but they just can't comprehend some of the words that are right in front of them. It's like, to me, that's like mind-blowing. But that's how subtle this becomes now.
Well, it's subtle to the point where I pointed this out. I think it was in the book of Hosea in the Green Bible. Mm-hmm. I think it's Hosea. Look at the Minor Prophets where it says Grand Master.
Grand Master.
I pointed that out. Now, where would you find Grand Master?
Well, not only that, just today alone, I was looking for that term, Grand Master, and I came across another term in Daniel chapter 2, verse 45. Now, we all know what Daniel 2:44 says, but read Daniel 2:45, and it says, Grand God. Now, when you read that in the King James Version, that word grand ain't even there.
No, it's just you're
or
looking at
great God. Excuse me,
yeah,
great
the
God.
authors of this work, when you look at it, I'm just putting that out.
Yeah.
You can start, and as a as a Mason, it's just and also as a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Knight. That puts more accountability on me when they dub you a knight.
You want the book? I'll give it to you as a Christmas gift.
Yeah, it's it's like you're looking at this, and it's accountability. As a knight, when you're dubbed, I take that seriously.
You should.
I take that seriously because it gives me more bravery. Because I have that chivalry, that attitude, that personal character that I have to be accountable for, and that's really what. And you learn more about how to be a better individual, but how to be courageous.
Yes.
How to be courageous, to be brave, and stand up for what's right. And that's what I try to. I do. That's what I do. Go ahead.
You're a warrior.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely a warrior. See, and that's that's where a lot of confusion can come in to Freemasonry. And I got to admit, when I first started watching, seeing all of the subliminal images, how it does connect to Freemasonry, it's like, oh my God, they're Freemasons, they're Freemasons. But you and I have had enough discussions over the years that we know that, like Christianity, the Mason Brotherhood is fractured. So, so you may be part of that group of Masonics that are actually got that honor that men should have, to where you don't call a woman the full letter C word. And yet we will act out towards that indignation of calling a woman a four letter C word. Or you're going to see some videos here real soon about another Christian man saying very disparaging things about my wife and calling us two turds in a toilet. This comes from a man that's supposed to be a Christian with that same type of honor that we're talking about now. Now, I'm not a Freemason by any stretch of the imagination, and you know that, Kevin, but you know me, that not being a Mason, I have that same type of honor that you have as a Mason. So in that context, I have no problem calling you brother.
Yeah, and that's what we are. We are brothers. But I've tried to, in recent times, with events that are happening in the world, what are you going to do as far as do what's right? Okay, now you have to look at the brothers, the Freemason brothers. What would be Ben Franklin, George Washington, Paul Revere, Hancock. These guys put their lives on the line.
They did.
And Warren, who was killed at the Battle of Bunker Hill because we ran out of ammo. But they put their lives on the line, and the women, the ones that were probably Eastern Star, I guess. I don't know. That put their lives moving powder kegs and trying to do. We don't know that, but that's what the Army was built with, men that they can trust. Washington hired. He appointed Freemasons as his confidants. Why? Because there's that trust.
There's that trust. Exactly.
You're brothers. That's that. But these are the guys who inspired the militia to become what they are, and run the British out of town. And they also did an Underground Railroad, from what I understand too. There was recent information that I came upon about a book about the Underground Railroad that the Freemasons were involved in.
And it was moving slaves from the south to the north.
Absolutely.
See, and that's part of the history that right now this country wants to get away from, because they want to make everybody racist. And that's just simply not the truth of the matter.
No, it's not. And that's what kind of got me a little bit thinking about, you guys got to stand up. You brothers have to stand up for that. Yeah. And I have to see that, because other than that, I'm the only guy on the battlefield. That's fine. But that's the bravery. I have to see the bravery, because we have to do that right now at this point in time.
Yes.
Because that's very important, and you have to stand up for who are going to defend the kids.
That's where this is going.
Up for the kids, or the ones that are being abused, or ones that are being trapped. There has to be that. That's why Tim Ballard, watch the trailer to it. Also watch. You have to watch it. Yeah. And it's just you're compelled, just like day after day, year after year. Kim and Mike are compelled to do this. You want to walk away? I've seen you try. You try to do it.
Yeah, I know. You and I have had conversations regarding that. Yeah, I know.
I don't want to do.
Damn
this.
You!
It's like, why are we doing this?
Exactly.
Oh, but we have to. We're compelled, and it's even more so now within view of this this judgment.
This judgment is
involving my brother. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have to move. We have to start. Not start. We got to continue to bring awareness.
Awareness, educating
and
lawyers.
Still bravery,
Yep.
and give the kids a compass. Not so much a moral compass, but we've got to give you a compass, something that we can show you how to orienteer. And you know everything about orienteering. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to learn how to work your way through the woods and
Yep.
not get lost.
Learn how to read the
that's what we're trying
signs.
to do. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do.
And I think a lot of these PMO elders that are still within the organization, some of them that I have talked to, in emails and stuff back and forth, they are scared by this judgment.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, they
We're seeing
realize
this.
that if we do not report this, we could go to prison. What will my family do?
Well, how do you know they're not on a list right now?
Yeah.
That's
How do you know they're not already turned in and they're waiting at some point because they needed a conviction with this.
Yeah.
So they got it, and it was right and it was true. So how do you know they aren't on the list?
Yeah.
I'd be even concerned
point,
about plea bargain.
plea bargain. Watchtower, you did not hear that. Shh, erase that.
Yeah. How did you not accept the plea bargain in this?
Yeah.
See?
Sat there and didn't fire your lawyer. Who's paying him? I don't know. But they're accountable. They're grown-ups. I cannot conceive again why anyone could not say anything and do anything. But that's me, and I'm not one to rise to the ranks of being that. If I have to sit in on something like that, no, I'm going to the police.
Yeah.
I have to report it. Why?
Exactly.
Because, then, you can't, no, there's no hesitation. Zero hesitation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to do what's right, but why would you hesitate? Well, my position. No, they immediately think of their position.
Yeah.
They immediately think of their position where they're not giving talks, or being in a position of judge, jury, executioner, giving talks, being part of a program, and all this stuff. And because 5-6 days a week you're a construction worker, or you're cleaning toilets, or whatever you're doing, it's noble work.
Or taking a trip
But
to
at the same
Thailand.
time, yeah.
Or, this brings reproach on the congregation. Well, look at what this has done now. And, I was talking a few minutes ago about these PMO elders, but
Sure.
at least a couple of them have told me if they hear of even whispers of anything about child abuse, they're going to call the authorities now, because they don't want to end up in a court hearing, waiting for sentencing like your brother is.
Yeah, it's not going to take 2 years either to do this. They're going to be, it's going to be charged, and that'll be it, because there's already been
Already a case.
precedent. I don't know
Yeah,
you want to call it that,
yeah.
but in this case, these guys didn't get away with it. They
Right.
sealed the kid for 12 years, which means they should get the full sentence, whatever that is, and beyond whatever the judge indicates. That's just the way it is. Your job is more important than your family, which is the community of the congregation of people and the welfare of that. So turn around, pick out the Bible storybook, go to the page where Jesus is putting his arm around the children,
Yeah.
and kind of, what is he telling you?
Yeah.
Take care of the kids.
Take care of the kids, and they're just simply not doing it. Yeah.
And you're not protecting them. It's like running, like Steve Lett when he comes up with this, no, you're not protecting, and you publicly said that you guys are and you're not. So where is the accountability to go after ones who do this?
Well,
That's state. I can only deal with what's in Illinois at this point because I live here. But what about these other states? You have to contact the state's attorney or whomever that is directly, the sheriff. You have to report it and become active as a warrior. We need warriors.
Yes.
Exactly.
We need the warriors now.
And not the
Yeah.
keyboard type.
Yeah.
No,
Once
you gotta be active. You gotta be out there. You gotta be, knock on the door of the sheriff or whatever. You
Yeah.
know, you gotta, because it's the kids.
like
I mean,
you,
that's-
right down in the trenches, in this war, right in the heat of the battle, trying to help protect these kids. And speaking of the court, I know you haven't had a chance to look at the information our friend in that area
very
sent.
briefly, only because you were summoning me. To
Yeah, we were actually got this as we're trying to pull this together.
One of the pieces
Yeah.
got me very upset.
Yeah.
Evidently the letter, I guess, you know which one that was dated, was actually, you sent me
Was that the one from 2018?
no, the other one.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to look at that one too much, but our friend, when she sent that, she said that Colin Scott now is trying to claim that he wasn't in on any of that, and so it's like, man up. Man up! You're just as responsible as Michael Pinkeva.
You got your hand caught in the cookie jar and said it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beyond disgusting. I think in cases like this, these should no longer be misdemeanors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be more. It should be. I can't. I don't want to use the word on camera, I guess, but
Yeah. No.
it has to be. It has to be more severe of a sentence. But then again, they also believe in the Bible as their constitution. If you know of something,
Yeah.
what would be the sentence?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's your constitution's telling you what would be that. So I agree with that. I agree that would probably have to change. It would have to change that to whatever a felony.
Yeah.
If done, this will set the. They can change it. I mean, the laws. But right now, you have to deal with what is real, what is right now, what you can do right now. There's lobbyists. You can't you can't play that game. You can't play contact representative or or senator. It doesn't work. That does not work. What you have to do is immediately go to the guy that we're paying taxes for. I mean, guess how much money is? I'm not going to even comprehend how much this costs the Illinois taxpayers.
I can imagine.
Millions.
But what would be the payback? Exposing more people, cleaning up the community.
Yeah.
That's what they get with this. Is these kids coming forth, or the kids, or the adults, the mothers, whatever, is for them to come forth and continue this to clean up the community and eradicate these people.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
And I don't know if you and I have talked about the Wisconsin investigation now into the child abuse.
What investigation?
The Wisconsin investigation.
I think we did, but I'm not quite sure if I'm up to date on anything.
Yeah, it's actually been a little while.
I haven't heard anything recently, but when I talked to the investigating office and gave them the case number for the Pinkeva Scott case, they were going to get the records from the court because they were very interested in this because, like we explained to them, you're going to run across the same problem. When we were talking to the prosecuting attorneys, they thought this was an isolated case at the beginning. And it's like, no, this isn't. This is a systemic problem within Watchtower. They do this all over the world. And, I love that they're being exposed now, just like in the Netherlands and all these other places, Belgium and, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Australia,
and now
all
New York.
over New York.
With the governing body.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to report it, and you're either part of you're either playing a role in the solution, Underground Railroad, or you're perpetuating the insane problem.
Yeah.
That's here with human trafficking and children. I did not, and this is very difficult for me, know the extent of the trafficking until I got involved with Operation Underground Railroad.
It's
And what else
massive.
was happening around that I heard and saw it and did research on to find some of this stuff. We cannot conceive what's been going on.
Yeah.
What's been going on.
Well,
These guys are a cartel. That's that's the thing. That's what they are. They're a corporation, a cartel, and they peddle opium in the way of, opium in the way of a mind drug.
Yeah.
Using opium as a euphemism, whatever you want to call that, as a term. But that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. You can't explain it any other way. Come after me, please. I'm 66 years old and I did survive a heart attack. If you want to fire another energy weapon at me, go ahead. But the thing is, I have this satisfaction or this contentment that I did something.
Right.
I did something for the kids overseas and doing something here and exposing this. And even though I couldn't, for years, Mike, right, I couldn't say anything. It says, I can't say anything, I can't say anything.
I know how difficult it was, yeah?
I'm surprised Mike kept this all quiet for the past couple of years.
I'm surprised, too.
You have to. It's really difficult, but until you actually have a judgment that, that's what they did. What do you want? You were innocent? You're gonna come and tell me, Mike, that you didn't do it?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do it. That it's something that you weren't a part of. That you're gonna have the angel come down and help you along.
Right.
And that Jesus is at your side. Things like that. I mean, it's preposterous. I guess that's another word. It's preposterous that anyone that considers themselves a human being, and that's what the Cheyenne talked about with what is the human and understand Native American mindset.
Yes, I do, very much so.
It's human, and how can you possibly? It's beyond my comprehension. I can't even conceive of any of this.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is.
But it is real. It's very real. It's in the world. It's there. And to deny that, he never went to trial, that's an inquirer, that the newspaper said this or whatever, and they're probably still denying it, or they said, no, this is whatever, But when you try to squelch something like that, it has a way of finding its way to another channel. Yeah. And then you'll hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the governing body, was it trying to explain, that just because they are taken to court doesn't mean they're guilty.
Look at what they did to Jesus.
Jesus, was he guilty?
Was he? Yeah. Oh.
Well, yeah, actually, he was a heretic to the Jewish, so yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But I mean,
want to believe that, but it's what it is. But you're trying to explain something, and you're like Ralph Cramden, humming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let me just interject something right here, just so that everybody can have maybe a larger context. In this YouTube channel, like I said, we've actually dropped hints of some of the things that were going on behind the scenes. And if some of you will remember, we actually talked about this case this is bigger than what it appears to have been on the surface. It's much, much bigger because it involves potentially, I'll use the word potentially, human trafficking, the cartel, and all of this kind of stuff. And now maybe our viewing audience might have a more broader view of just it's not just Watchtower.
It's extensive.
And and like I said, that when we have an opportunity to interview you, people can really begin to see. And there again, I just want to backtrack just a little bit and thank you, Kevin, for what you've done, and also for putting concepts in my mind to think about, such as we need to look at our state laws regarding
coercion,
bullying,
assisted suicide,
And you got to present that. You got to present that to the authorities because it's already on paper.
It's already there.
Already there.
Exactly.
You've got to use that.
Yes. Yeah. So
it's just like the lost wages for working for, as a publisher for a corporation. I don't remember getting a paycheck or anything. So go down to the Labor Department and claim your check from 20 years ago. But again, that's another thing you can pursue. Just another avenue that it's right there. Ones aren't understanding resources. Mm-hmm. That's the trouble I had with, not the trouble, but that's what my students overseas did. They have they have limited resources, or they don't know how to use the internet.
Use them, right.
Well, like you mentioned, we need to show show this stuff.
Mm-hmm, it's right there. It's just having the courage to pick up the phone or come to someone that you I shouldn't use the word trust, but you use bravery in contacting one that you feel comfortable with. But you got to go to somebody because that's what you do. You're being rescued. And you just I don't want the life preserver.
Right, and you also have to have
a good. Helping you. We're trying to stop the hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
And the slavery of the kids with this. You have to stop. So you start coming forth, and you start prosecuting, and you keep doing it and hammering it like Thor's hammer. Thor's hammer came down on my brother.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me Colin is any part of this or something?
Throw in the other ones, and if I remember correctly, the third elder in this has passed away.
I don't know anything about that. I don't know. You see, I just...
Yeah, I can't remember if it was one of the court documents or a newspaper article, but it mentioned that the third elder that was in these judicial hearings had passed away. So his problems are done.
Well, it's like it's been so long. Who knows? I don't know. If they were in a Spanish congregation, I don't know anything about that. But that's what these guys do. They want to serve where the need is greater. Well, let's learn Spanish or some other language and go there and cause trouble, which you did.
Yeah.
So that was like that when we were there. I said, let's serve where the need is greater and learn another language and go to wherever you want to go and be a big shot. Mm-hmm. Basically, you want to tell them what to do and be the and that's what these guys did.
Yeah,
it's obvious. They want to elevate themselves because they didn't want to be a boring elder in the English congregation. So let's serve where the need is greater.
Yeah,
and see what this. Eventually, it comes full circle at you. It's called not quite instant karma, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to come around, and you're going to you're going to to face justice. Yeah. Armageddon is here. Just to let that you know. Your Armageddon's here. And then you got one guy saying, "No, I didn't do anything. No, that's all wrong."
I wasn't even part of the phone call at the Watchtower.
I wasn't. Well, you see, if you believe in a God or whatever, and they were listening to that, what do you think he's saying? Yeah. What do you think he would do? It's just the whole thing is convoluted. It's bizarre. The whole thing is bizarre.
Yeah. Especially when these governing body, especially that idiot Let, if anyone would protect the young ones, it would be God's or Jehovah's organization, and you just get so infuriated when you know they're lying.
You want to slap those words out of their mouth.
They're just like, I think there was a video of a former sister or whatever. She stood up in the congregation and she had, I forgot what the accusation was, but I think I gave that to you. That was years ago. And then the people started clapping, making the noise, just like they did while,
when the drums are beating.
Drown out the crying of the baby.
Yep, exactly.
That's what the congregation's doing. I said, what? Take 47 steps back and look at this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This, and you're telling me you're not peddling mind opium?
Right. Well, which, let me interject something right here because, you talk about let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Well, when we do this as a community of XJWs, do you think when you step back 47 feet that you might be able to identify a watchtower plant, controlled opposition, to slow down, say like what we've been trying to work on for years.
Work, to try to discredit ones who are actually trying to get something done behind the scenes, the warriors behind the scenes, while in front of the camera saying how great they are. And that's what's been so disheartening.
Discouraging.
And discouraging for 9 years. It's like, good grief.
Because
you guys don't understand what we're all trying to do. It's like, just leave us alone. And let us do what we want to do.
Yeah, you're always going to have those those capitalists that do that, and but that's something that unfortunately they eventually go away. Don't pay any attention to them, or you have to defend something what they said to a family member.
Yeah.
And that's different. That's completely different. You gotta. But then again, if you've had the proof and you present the proof and this is what it is, then move on.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But it's still difficult. At the same time, but you got to continue going, and it's so frustrating. But these guys eventually don't pay any attention to them; they'll go away. It's just like that's what they want. They feed on certain things. They got to have the attention. Well, that's my brother. That's what he is.
Yeah, well, that's why
narcissism.
Right.
And that's what it is. You have to do that. He doesn't like anybody stealing his thunder. He doesn't want to know about somebody else's story that might be, a lot more, different. He doesn't like that. Mm-hmm. Well, your name is in the paper because he would call up the Northwest Herald and do that and say, I got a new bench out here, or I got something, a new tree, come on out and do a story on me. He did that for years.
Yeah.
Well, he'll get all the attention tomorrow, won't he?
I forgot. He's got a scrapbook of the articles.
Yeah.
Well, he'll get all the attention tomorrow, won't he, Kevin?
Yeah, the thing is, it's undeniable. It's just... this draws in people that I'm not saying they're all like. It's just they draw, people that are vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the abstract term, but that's what they do. They feed
off emotion.
Yeah, and they do that, and that's what the Watchtower is all about too.
Right.
But it goes back to the old Jimi Hendrix song where the wolves are right outside the door.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, we're coming.
Yeah.
No, we're already there actually, but that's what it is. You got to bring down something. It has to be eradicated from the planet. Now, how that's going to be done? We can do that by focusing on giving the courage to the kids that are being,
Speak up.
Start with that, give them, the courage, the parents, or whoever is involved in this, is to come forth and start calling up the police or whatever Operation Underground Railroad, whatever. But you have to do something. You can't you have to do something.
Yeah.
And then you become a warrior. I think, there's ones who aspire, they want to be a warrior, but you have to do something. Heroes are ordinary people, and that's what Hawkeye said. He said they're just tired enough, cold enough, and hungry enough not to give a damn anymore.
Right.
Once you get to that point, I've already had a heart attack on that metal table that was, I might say, cold, looking up at the lights, which happened to be, that's the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, don't go to the light.
At least in my viewpoint, and seeing and blacking out, and then having the, one of the guys say, do you want us to call a pastor as he's cutting my T-shirt off? He says, no, call Hawkeye and Trapper John. But the thing is, I have nothing, I'm done as far as being intimidated.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing.
Or having a measure of being a Casper milquetoast. Okay, I don't give a damn anymore. I mean, I give a damn for the kids, that's different, but please, if you want, I should say, please, but just do it.
Bring it, yeah.
Get on.
Yeah.
And that's our ammunition. That's what lights us up. Because, go ahead, this is not going to be another Bunker Hill.
Yeah, or a bunker in Croatia.
So I can run out of ammo and you're going to overrun us. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do. That's, and And we're here to be supportive and to be actively doing this. And then all they got to do is make the phone call, get in contact, and point them to here, go here, go here. That's what I did as a teacher. I was more or less an educator. Educators empower, they inspire, they're guides. That's what we do.
Exactly.
Just point them time after time after plea after plea. You guys would say, do your research. Do your research.
Yeah.
Just do it. Find out. Discover for yourself, because you take ownership, right? You take ownership.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
You got to take ownership of that. Once you do that, that empowers you. And to tell these guys, do whatever. They're not going to do anything because they can't. If they do anything, anybody tells you or coerces you or intimidates you or bullies you, you prosecute them. You file charges. You continue to file charges after charge after charge. As long as it's credible, as long as it's you have proof of that, you have to have that. You just can't, file charges of
arbitrarily.
No, you can't. But you got to file the charges.
Exactly. Like the recent situation going on in the XJW community, it's like, okay, this is what we do. We're going to hand over all the evidence to the authorities and let them do this. Let them investigate. Let them check out the evidence. Let them go search and get, subpoenas and all that they need to do. We're done. We did our part. You take it to the authorities. If they have
anything more, they come to you. They come, but I try, as an educator, I try to give more information so they don't ask questions, because I'm like, I got to get to the next student. So I try to give as much information as I can so you can go run with it. And that way I'm not answering something, constantly. So I give you enough information, complete information. That's what you got to do. We have to do that. We got to give them the resources. But you have to have the bravery to go through with it.
Well, that's the thing. You got to have the courage and the bravery and the mindset, because a lot of that bravery is a mindset.
Well,
it is. Yes.
Like our daughter Shyla, I was so proud of her because she works for, the Albuquerque school system, and she is an interpreter for the deaf, and you know that.
Sure.
But our viewers may not know that. And in the state of New Mexico, that makes her a mandatory reporter.
Makes her a mandatory reporter.
And, there was some questions about a student, and, my daughter's like, okay, tell the teacher, take this girl to the nurse, and, she did the right thing. And, let the school know, okay, this is what I heard, this is what I observed, and, that is doing the right thing.
Yeah, you have to do the right thing, and that's why you have to. That's an empowering. We don't need mandates. That's why you have an internal compass to do the right thing. We have all of us. Most of us have that internal compass about respect and doing the right thing. Don't need a mandate to force us to do something.
Right.
I mean, it's like our parents forcing us to do something that we don't want to do, like clean your room. But why does it have to come down to a mandate? Why does it have to do that? Because you should have a moral sense of doing the right thing anyway.
Anyways, exactly.
Anyway, I mean, yeah.
You're getting a little dark, Kevin. Is it getting dark there? You're a little bit dark.
The room is going dark. We're losing our lighting.
How's that?
There we go.
A lot better.
We can see you again.
I got sunsets earlier than you.
Yeah. Well,
You should have mentioned. I thought about that, but you should have mentioned that.
Well, that's because we're up in the mountains, so we're closer to the sun.
You're closer to God.
I'm closer to God. Yeah. Yeah. So, is there anything else that I know we've been past several weeks discussing this interview or this discussion, and I know you wanted a list of questions, but
this is a conversation.
I think that's what we really wanted to strive for, was just to have a conversation.
Well, I know you talked to Joel last night, and he will probably get his video up this weekend.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
Whatever. I just, it's. I have to do the right thing. We've got to talk. I want to talk in a conversation. That's when I taught school at the college university level. I taught the little kids on weekends. That was fun. I never gave a lecture. I engaged in conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never gave an exam from my viewpoint, even though they say give an exam. I gave them the opportunity to tell me what you learned based upon, observation. I don't ask questions. I give observations, and you respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I conducted my classrooms, or actually it's their classroom, because you leave the ego at the door.
Yeah.
It's about them. It's about the kids. It's about them. It's not this syllabus that I come up with. They're going to follow like this. How many times did the syllabus didn't work in the class during that day? And I had to, do an impromptu class, whatever it was. It happened so many times. So it's about the kids. It's about they're the future. I remember in 1970, I was like an 8th grade freshman in high school. I was part of the first Earth Day, the very first Earth Day, which is April 12th or something now.
Yeah.
But you went around and cleaned up the neighborhood or the community and what that. So you want to clean up your act. Well, start exposing the trash and throwing it out.
Yeah.
And you got to take it to somewhere, where they dispose of it.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. We have to clean up our communities that way, and you got to be brave. You're not going to be. They can't threaten you because of the laws. Again, I'm harping on that because that's what they're there for. You have to take advantage of that. You have to turn them in.
You have to know how
Turn
to
them
use
in,
them.
clean up the communities. That's how my educational system would work, or would be. You got to start with the family, your neighbors, your community, and clean that act up. And teach them or educate them in practical and relevant things, topics. And one of the practical and relevant topics is knowing the law.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing how the law protects you, because that's what our tax money and your parents' tax money goes to, is to protect you.
Right.
And then you respect the police and your fire people and the firemen and all that. But once in that professional, and I always do that. I say thank you for your service always. Whenever I run into a home, or a mailman or a mailwoman, whatever, a mail person, whatever. Because this morning today was I guess trash day, and I just happened to squeeze by and came upon one of the guy that are doing that, and I thanked them.
Yeah.
I said thanks, for the winter. I mean, you guys, but that makes you feel good because that's part of being a warrior.
Right.
Yeah.
That's part of doing that.
And that's something that I've noticed about you. Every time we've said, goodbye after a phone conversation, you'll say, "Thank you, sir." And I've always admired, even though I don't respond that way, but I've always noticed that that's how you do respond. And I've actually noticed that.
It's just respect. I mean,
Yeah.
I just you don't need 10 commandments. You don't need a Bible. You need one word. And I think Derek Jeter, the baseball player, came up with that, and it's called respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It said his parents made him sign a contract when he was a kid, and I will do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And it was about maintaining integrity and a sense of a moral compass.
Yeah.
And he signed off on it, and that's how he lived by it all his life. They call it Derek's contract, his contract with his parents.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that. But you have. Here's my contract: is I'll do everything I can to assist you in what in resolving your issue. And by being a warrior, I have the resources and life experiences to do that.
Yes.
And, that's what we do. But then you want to empower them. And it's, not so much inspire, but empower them to, it's okay. We got your back.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know and be brave. I'm asking, don't trust me. Be brave, because you'll discover that. You'll discover that part of the trust. Be brave and follow, and that's why they're there.
Yeah,
that's why they're there. So, but yeah, that's really my thought. Is we have to empower those by giving them the resources, and they have to respond. You're not going to be able, you can't force them to, but you can see the repercussions if you continue to do it. Why these guys got away with this for all? That's inconceivable.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's beyond inconceivable. We're saying 12 years this went on, 13 years, whatever it is.
12 years.
It's completely inconceivable that this was something more beyond a misdemeanor. If you get my drift.
Oh yeah.
That's why I would get so angry, doing these updates, because, once you start hearing the details of this, and it's like, how could they possibly, like our friend in Illinois, it's like, how could you even go to the Kingdom Hall and look at this family and just walk right on by and do nothing?
And you're a teacher. I think he was still a teacher in 2006, 7, 8. I think he maybe retired at 2008. I'm not quite sure, but how can you face students?
Right.
Yeah.
If you were still a teacher, I know he's nominated for Disney Teacher in 2000. I don't know if he kept on teaching, but the fact is you were, and you're facing students.
Yeah. Knowing
this, and it all has to do with ego. It's all about ego. I mean, but why would you do something like this? Knowing it, because you don't think you're going to get caught?
And then blame Watchtower for giving you bad legal advice when you called?
I read that. Was that in a transcript or something? I think it was.
Yeah, in one of his...
You tried to do the finger pointing that you were giving bad legal advice when you already know as a teacher that you should report it.
Yeah.
I think it was in one of the motions.
Yeah,
I think it was in one of the motions in limine.
We've heard that before. Watchtower sexually repressed me.
But he's like that. He'll point his finger and he's an instigator, and he'll go back and he'll feign ignorance or. He does that. That's part of his MO. As he was growing up, he'd feign like, "What did I do?"
What did I do? Exactly.
I'm his brother. I mean, I grew up with the guy. I know.
You knew what he did.
Yeah, or you expose him. It's just. It's beyond. I don't know if there's a word in English that probably in Cheyenne language or something, or Sioux, that would describe how vicious and disgusting this is. I can't even conceive.
I don't even know if they even have that word in their language, because that's something that they never, that I'm aware of, have ever engaged in.
Ever encountered, but it's got to be like, I'm looking for a stronger word for something like that, and I can't find it in the English language. But how could you possibly, sleep at night? That too, or just operate, or not operate, but just move about your daily life.
Yeah.
Knowing this.
I don't get it. I just don't get it either.
The position, it all comes down to, is all I can think of is you want to have this position in this club.
Yeah.
Or in this, whatever this is, this cartel.
Yeah. Be the foremost spokesperson. It's the same nonsense, is what it actually is.
It's all about the accolades. You get invited to dinner and you get all this, hey, nice pat on the back and all this stuff. So it's all the accolades, and people he feeds off that. He feeds off that.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Because if you take his thunder away, which it abruptly ended a week ago or whatever, and I had one of my friends. Well, ones that I grew up with, evidently, we were in communication. He says that he's terrified of going to prison. Well, what about the girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's going to have to live with this for the rest of her life.
It just shows you how ridiculously misinformed or just they don't want to see it. The witnesses, they don't want to see it, or if they do, they don't want to see it. Well, say something. What do you have to lose? Do the right thing. How good does that feel when you do the right thing? When
it always feels good.
Remember that when they say, come clean with your sin, how do you feel afterwards?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't come clean with your sin. You got convicted forcibly. You didn't accept a plea bargain or whatever. So And then you damage the reputation of the family on top. Now, there's other Pinkevas that are maybe related, but they're all over the country.
Yeah.
Okay? My grandfather had 6 brothers,
Wow.
or whatever. There was a lot, and so there were some in Florida or whatever. So there's descendants of Pinkevas all over the place, not just in the area. So you got this name. Now they got to answer, and I have never met them.
Mm-hmm.
And look at your family members who never were JWs. What kind of mark does this going to put on Jehovah's Witnesses now when they hear this, if they ever do? And it's like, oh my God, so how could they ever be part of the organization, become a Jehovah's Witness when, this criminal in the family?
Well, you got that. We were very close. Where I grew up, we were very, very close. Everybody was. Even to this day, we are. It's like family. We're all family. Everybody in the town that I grew up in. So I'm in contact with the ones that are in their 70s now, and I have to tell him this guy's convicted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about they were close. Everybody was really close, and to find out it's getting involved with the religion. No, it has nothing to do with the religion. It has to do with his ego. 100% ego. It's what his attitude has been all his life, as he has to be the guy who's in charge. He has to be the guy. That's what he is. That's it's an ego issue.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't surprise me, but it just, if my mother was still around, she died in 1973, so it's been many years, almost 50 years now. I don't know. I get that opportunity to express, what I am really as well. That the Pinkevas aren't like this guy.
Yeah.
In fact, he's not. I mean, my cousins and my sister, we're still trying to probably think, was this guy adopted by my mom?
Yeah.
And I probably may even request a DNA but he just doesn't fit in, with his attitude and what he did. But somebody who gave his life and education and doing this.
Yeah.
And it's like I wonder why you were. And he was a very good teacher, from what I understand. I followed him all throughout his career, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just like, why would you? What don't you get about this? What happened to this moral compass? What about this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it is. Is you got to understand. You have to comprehend and know what your moral compass is to get around.
Right.
And that's what that's the thing with the Freemasons, is what I experienced is doing that. Why would you do something like this? Why would you cover up for this long?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you bring up a good point about, being a good teacher, and we know this has been in the newspaper for over a year and a half now. What do his students think? It's like, oh, he was such a great teacher, and now they're reading this in the newspaper and hearing this on the local news, and it's like, oh my God. And I think about some of the teachers that I have a lot of good memories and respect of, some of them, the best teachers I had, like when I was in middle school. And, I think, oh my God, what if I found out, that they were a clergy member in their church, and that they had been hiding this little girl being abused for all these years. And then I would think, well, what other kids did they, hide from being abused? They didn't report it.
Mike has always been open about his, Jehovah's Witness relationship. He's had Bible studies with teachers at school, probably, over the decades. Mm-hmm. So it's not they didn't know who he was, but the fact that this actually happened from 2006 on, it's like, or whatever, it's, well, not to mention, you're talking about his colleagues, too. You're talking about our the teacher that we had as kids who passed away. What do you think he probably thought years ago when he came across this? And our teachers, everybody, you got to remember, when I was growing up in our town, everybody was close.
Yeah.
I mean, very, as far as family, what I'm saying? We did, and teachers too. Mm-hmm. And,
well,
go ahead.
Teachers really took an active role in educating the children, like with what's right and what's wrong. And today, that's why there's problems with school boards and parents being so aggravated, because they've just handed the kids over without vetting the quality of the teacher. And that's really exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Their minds have been pirated to believe that this educational system is all you got. No, it's not.
No, it's not. Exactly.
If you we'll just homeschool them. No, but you're still using Pearson's books. You're still using the same. Well, that's where I'm coming in with my life skills learning environments, and that's what I honed this for many, many years to give them relevant authority and relevant topics that they can use, for survival. Like, have Mike give a class on the mountain men. Learning
yeah.
Do you know any mountain men?
I want to do it. I want to learn how to make a Cheyenne bow. I want to know.
Yeah, I could do that.
A Banshee bow that they were firing arrows, like one is already going, and then you got another 4 coming at you.
Yeah.
How do they do that? So that's skill sets that we learn as Boy Scouts and First Scouts, whatever. But that's the system that the entire school system is what I've been trying to do and get funding for. It's relevant, practical, and useful, and it can grow exponentially and provide a real moral compass.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like our daughter, she's always telling me stories, of these things going on in the classroom. And it's a wonder they learn anything at all.
Yeah.
Because she said the teacher is no longer a teacher. They are a referee. So she says you have the referee, and then most of the kids are on their phone. They're not even paying attention. And she says, those two things right there are half the battle, because the teacher is so busy refereeing fights and, squabbles and everything else going on.
Well, it's not relevant teaching. I talked to, my grandson about this, and we would go out for breakfast. He's 16 now. And even when he was 14, we talked about this. And I said, I said he respects, it says I respect, or we as the students, we respect relevant authority. That makes sense to me, because they're not teaching you relevant topics.
Yeah.
Things like that. So that's what I've been doing, trying to get funding, doing that to get this going so you can have relevant, because when I taught, I tried to make my classes relevant, to their real world, because I would ask
real
them,
world.
Yeah. I would listen to the class. Because that's my lesson for next week or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting because there wasn't any curriculum. All the foreign teachers had to make it up. So we're like writing all this down. But so they respect that. So how do you take the phone out of their hands so they're doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to make it colorful and relative and useful, and give them. They have to have ownership of their education. Wow, that's really cool, and they have ownership of that. But when I started, real quick, when I started back in years ago, they had the phones, and one of the things I would say was bring up your phones. So I'd have like 25 out of 60 phones. I said last phone standing gets 100 RMB.
They all
isn't much to me, but the first time around, it was like, okay, 15 minutes passed, zzz, zzz, zzz. Eventually all the phones went off before, but nobody ever got it. By the time I left, years later, I did the same thing. It was under 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. It's how much that's influenced, because they'd be hiding behind their stacks of books, and because it's not relevant.
Right.
It's not preparing them, or, because what I taught was, that's a real examination out that window. If I give you a 98, is that going to be meaningful for you? Maybe get you to the next level, but you're not having any applied learning. You're not doing
applied learning.
And that's what you have to do, and you got to identify with the kids, with this, and teach them what they want to learn and what they need to learn. In order to build a better future. And that's what Krista McAuliffe said. She said, I'm a teacher. I touch the future in that way. That's what we got to do. Same thing. What is the future from here on out?
Yeah.
Give those kids the bravery, or the parents, the mother, whomever is involved with this, to give them the bravery to call somebody.
Yeah.
Or to just find a way of communicating. And Operation Underground Railroad is a good start. There's kids, there's ones who are involved in that, and because maybe going to the police may be too intimidating. I don't like using that word, but it's like going to go to the police, And, but they're there for us. But maybe this is a resource that you can talk to that will do something.
Yeah.
They specifically do this. Not something we'll go to a psychologist or go down to no. We do this. And this is the outcome of this.
Yeah.
And direct them to know what the laws are that protect you.
Yeah.
And understand that they can't intimidate you.
Yeah.
Have that thing. Not that that's disrespectful. That's, come on, you're full of you know what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're liars. You're disgusting individuals. You're a cartel.
Yeah. Bring it.
Okay, please.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Cartel corporation. You're peddling. This type
Fear,
of thing.
intimidation. Yeah.
Intimidation, yes, right there. But they got to be pointed to do that. They actually have to do this, and continue to. But that's the only way of doing it on a local level. We know that.
Just got to do it.
Yeah, it's eventually how you going to learn to swim. Read about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you learn to drive a car? Well, I'll just do it in a simulator.
Yeah.
But you got to actually do it. It's like really learn how to shoot a bow and arrow. Why don't we just look at watch some movies, watch them do it. Have Lars Anderson fire some. Now I know how to learn. No, I want to learn from Mike. Mike Brooks is my teacher, or whatever. But you got to have actual hands-on.
You got to have hands-on experience.
My students didn't have actual hands-on stuff, so you gave them stuff. I want a better coffee, or actually I want an energy drink, but I don't want this product. I want you to guys come up with your own. Put it in your court. Take ownership of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid, because these guys are standing with a suit and tie on.
Well, that's part of the intimidation is a suit and tie.
Yeah, knocking at your door, and we were just in the neighborhood.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and encourage you to come to the meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. But then again, you all go through that, and you got to give them. They have to find a way out. Yeah. Simply, all of this hour, 2 hours, whatever we're doing. You give them a way out. You show them the way out, and it's okay to do this.
Yep.
And you got to break free of this, because that's the only. Because not only that, by you being a warrior, that inspires others. Yeah. Newsies. Remember the movie Newsies?
Yes.
Where the kids in New York, and I read about that. I did research. That actually happened, really. And it's just the kids that we're not paying a penny a pay law. No. We're not going to do that. So what they did was shut New York down. They went up against Pulitzer and Heist, So they went up against these guys. I know it was a few days or whatever it was. It wasn't very long, but it was enough that the kids said, no, we're not doing it. They got one voice led to more.
Right.
But you got to start with a voice. You got to start with a voice. And there's been many voices.
The proper voice also.
Yes. And it's got to resonate with them in order for them to act upon it.
Mm-hmm.
It takes just one thing. It's that I'm cold enough, I'm tired enough, I'm hungry enough, and I got to do something.
Yeah.
I have to do something. And you just do it, and you become a hero. You become the hero, and your parents as well. That's what I had a course in China when I taught there. I made up my own courses. So, let's do something on heroes. Mm-hmm. They would tell me my grandmother's a hero or that, and then I know more about them in order to teach them. So that was a lesson plan that way. But anyway, you learn by doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you so much, Kevin, for, being part of this organization, and we will put the link down below. And, thank you for being a warrior and our friend, and thank you for taking this time to talk with all of us publicly now. It's been a long wait, because you don't know how many times we wanted to mention, it's not just our friend that's a paralegal giving us the documents. We actually know that some in the family, and some have some behind the scenes information on this. And I just want to say that if I would have been in that position and my JW sister had done something illegal, I would have called the authorities. I would have turned her in, and I still would. Same thing with anybody. I don't care, if they're a friend or family member, if they're hiding child sex abuse, I would turn them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you're, the term when I was growing up, you're narking on somebody.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about rape of a child. This is completely vicious, and that's all I can, vicious. It's like, I can't even imagine. It's just, but that's what we got to do. You got to do what's right. I think it always comes down to those words.
Yeah.
Do what's right. And you'll be taken care of one way or another. Whether it be emotionally or whatever, you put your life on the line. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to lose, because I have more friends than I can imagine, and you have a sense of doing something for your fellow citizen, being a global citizen. That's what we are. That's what you are. This is going to go all over the world.
Absolutely.
And they're gonna see this and they go, the brother of this guy. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Even long before all of this happened. I mean,
it had nothing to do with this long before.
We've been friends for years.
Yeah. We've talked about subliminal images and
In fact, we were Skyping with somebody just the other day, and we happened to mention that now that the trial is done, that we're trying to set up, a video Skype, with Kevin Penkava, Michael Penkeva's brother. And
mention my name? Did you mention my name?
Yeah.
That's okay. No, that's okay.
Well, they know who you are now. But it was funny because she goes...
Waiting for once to
She's like, really? Like,
yeah,
known him for years. I mean, it was just shock. And it's like, you never said anything.
No. Well, that's because Masons know how to keep secrets, right?
It's
Pinky, right?
Oh, I should have worn my ring.
Oh, yeah.
My sterling silver ring, but
just remember, as we do this, talk about the Masons, they're just as fractured as Watchtower or religion or whatever.
It just depends on what branch.
Good people that are fighting for righteousness, even if they're Masons. So we cannot blanketly say every Mason's wicked, and no, that's just simply not true. Just like every atheist is a immoral pervert. That's just simply not true.
No, it isn't. There's no atheist in a foxhole that I know.
Yeah, exactly.
There isn't any. But it's I don't know. I'd like to hear from ones in my area, other than whatever. But that would be nice, because the tower's already down. It's already down.
Yeah.
It's just looking inside to see if there's any survivors or just whatever it is. But eventually, as I said, it comes full circle.
Yeah.
It's full circle, and you have that instant karma, if you want to call it. You have that because that's what's going to happen. You continually to do something, you continually to perpetuate something, and do something as vicious as this.
Yeah.
You're hopefully that you're going to live long enough where you're going to see your Armageddon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
so.
Kevin, thank you so much for allowing us to
Sure.
this privilege. And I know for you and I and Kim, this is just a camera formality because I'm sure tomorrow we'll be talking again or next week or whatever. So, but for our viewing audience, thank you for your time and the information that you've given us regarding this case behind the scenes and things like that. So thank you so much, friend. And there again, even though I'm not a Mason and you are, we have a kindred spirit, and it's called honor, respect, and loyalty.
The compass. Always keep in mind maintaining your compass passage.
Yeah.
And writing your course. That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
And maintain and understand what your compass has, what it is. What are those words? That's what's the words. What are those thoughts? What is it? What is the emotional content?
Yeah.
Of your compass that guides your life.
Yeah, and it's not that we're talking about this to make everybody feel warm and fuzzy about Watchtower if they are Masons. No, this is not what this is about. It's about the individual person, your development, your being able to, resonate up here and call yourself a free, sovereign spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good thought. I like that thought.
Free, sovereign spirit, and that's what we should all be striving for that inner development. And I do know that has a lot to do with Masons early on, is that interdevelopment and becoming that ultimately, the best of the best person that you can be. Yeah,
you want to be not so much best, but be great. Have greatness. What is greatness? Greatness is what you want to strive for. You can't just end it right there. And I tell my students, don't end it right there. You gotta aspire to greatness. Greatness doesn't mean being famous. Doesn't mean popular. It means by your works.
Yeah.
By what you stand for.
You will know them by their works. See?
Exactly. So you don't.
See, that's I wish more people would get that. I really do.
Yeah. Doing things that are illegal, and then try to, talk your way out of it, like, oh, Watchtower gave me bad legal advice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, wow.
Let me regress with this. Did he actually say that in print, or what did Colin say?
It's in one of the documents.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it and tell you which document it was.
Well, he's convicted, so it doesn't matter.
So, at this point, it doesn't matter, does it?
We want to have a retrial. Can we have a do-over? Like this kid, the baseball goes into the tree, do-over. You want a do-over?
Yeah.
No, you got caught.
Yeah. So, I'm sure you will be, anxiously awaiting, like us and many others, for the sentencing tomorrow. And I believe it's at 1:30 your time. So.
I'll be. What's tomorrow? Friday? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't know when the paper comes out or who's going to contact me. I mean, I don't know what, I have no contacts with that. But we'll look forward to the, but it's already guilty. That's what
that's what we wanted, because now it does set a case precedent. And it's about educating lawyers and what the nonsense.
Don't discount that they know everything. Don't ever do that. Don't assume that they know. They don't. They're not data. On Star Trek, they don't know everything. They're not programmed. You gotta feed them. That's what they had to do with the Australian Royal Commission.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. And that's very truthful.
They don't know, but
we had to educate
he had to be educated. He had to be guided to know, and that's what we did with this. That's what we had to do, because that's what we did. We had to do this for the kids.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
kids.
I hope the families from this video, I hope they have the bravery, empower us. We empower them to have the bravery to go to the authorities, and ones that can actually do something that's relevant and true.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what all of this is about, is empowering the abuse survivors themselves. And even if it's been years and they're adults now, them having the bravery to come forward and go report this to the authorities. And look at all the cases that are coming up in New York now, that they are adults now, and they look, this happened back in the 80s, back in the 90s, the Deborah Hines case. And that's why we need to get support for these ones who are going through this.
Yeah, not one of these guys have stood up in the middle of the trial and say, enough's enough.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just, I did it. That's it. It reminds me of the movie with White Squall with Jeff Bridges, where that was a true story about the sail ship that went down in a squall.
I'm not familiar with that movie.
Yeah, it was an old Jeff Bridges movie. He had a school ship. It was a school sailing ship called the Albatross, I believe was it. Maybe it was another name, but maybe it was the Albatross. And what happened was, it went down in a storm. He lost his wife, and I think 3 other the students that went down. It's a school ship. So they were going to prosecute him on negligence and all this, and went on and on. And I said, I'm done. Here's my license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Here's my license. Here's my ticket. My license. Here.
They don't want to own it.
I lost my wife. Yeah, it was a tragedy. The sails were blown in. That's just how it was. And that was a true story. It was, in fact, I think Christopher, I can't think of his last name, but he served as an ambassador. He recently, I think, he passed away. But he was part of, same thing with these guys. Not one of these guys stood up and said anything.
Yeah.
They wanted to be, they were protected they were being shielded by these guys and didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is astounding.
That is what's so disgusting, and that's why we keep doing these videos about these court cases and stuff, because it's like, you'd think at one point, like you said, someone would man up, one of these elders would man up, but I guess some people have a hard time manning up to things.
Well, they've done it for 12 years, and you get hardened. Just like video games. You remember when video games back in the 80s weren't as bloody, or ripping the spinal cord out of something, and all of a sudden you got less sensitive as time went on.
Yeah.
And same thing with this. They just, for whatever reason, desensitize them, or you're going to lose your job, or you lose face.
Yeah.
I thought this only happened in the Asian community. That's excessively serious with that. Here, these guys, do the right thing. Stand up, say enough's enough. That's it. They did it. What is the maximum, whatever it is. But no, none of these guys ever did that.
Yeah, and then they get up and they're still giving parts on the assembly and in meetings.
Well, my brother's still doing that, with at the meetings too, and it's like,
that's what's despicable.
Despicable. That's probably it's vicious. It's a vicious, despicable conduct.
Yeah, to know that you've done this, and to still think that you're qualified to speak for any community.
Yeah, and you still think you're qualified to be a shepherd of the flock, which would
a shepherd that covers up for abuse. I mean, it's like, the whole thing is convoluted. It's bizarre. It's that's why people are the ones that are looking at this. I can't go through with this. Where you better get out of it. Not only that, you better go to the authorities when the PMO decides, well, I'm stepping down, or I can't do. Tell them everything you know now.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. You have nothing to lose. You're leaving them, but when you leave something and close that chapter, you should make better friends, or a higher quality of friends.
Higher quality.
You don't know until that chapter closes where it's going to happen. I didn't know that I would, you know, what my life would be when I left Harley Davidson and went to China.
Mm-hmm.
But that's 15,000 miles away. It's a communist country, but I knew the nature of the Asian people that I would be taken care of. I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that, but also stay out of trouble. You know,
Yeah.
don't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
Just, you know, that would bring, you know. But I represented my country being over there. Whatever I did or whatever, to some extent, I guess. You know, they saw America through me. So, as these elders, you see. What do you see when you see these guys?
Yeah.
Do you see honesty, integrity, and everything that's a real good moral compass? Or what do you see?
What is exactly?
See, you know, and then you don't have to. Watchtowers, they implode. You implode with that. There's enough that they're going to implode.
Yeah.
They're already there.
That's the thing. They're already there. Goodbye, everybody. I'll make it real simple. Thank you for indulging us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kevin,
Thank
very
you,
much.
Kevin.
Bye.